Hi there, welcome to this new tutorial. Today we're going to use a LiveScore API to display some of the latest results for a given team ID. So we're going to first find the team ID by its name, then we're going to use that ID to fetch the team's fixtures. Therefore, we'll see how to render the fixtures data in this small widget. So you can see we've got a couple of matches here. This is the last match result, and this is the next fixture, right? So there's a lot to cover. Let's go ahead and get started. So I've got this clean empty React app, so I'm gonna first create a new component for this, a new folder for this component, say LiveScore, that's what I'm gonna call it, and we're gonna have a JavaScript file and CSS as well. So we're going to create a functional component, and I'm going to call it LiveScore. And then here, we're going to use emmet to write a bunch of HTML element to set up the project skeleton. So we're going to have a main section with a class called LiveScore, and inside it, we're going to have a live container. Then we're going to have a match container as well. Then we're going to have a league and a teams container. There we go. Now let's take care of the league div. So here we're going to have an image with a class league logo. And we're going to have a heading as well, which is for the league name. Alright, say league name here. Now, we're going to deal with the teams container. So this one is going to have a couple of team boxes, where each box include the image, which is the team logo, and same as the league, we're going to have a heading for the name. Okay, so we're going to have a couple of them, like I said, and we'll need a result. Okay, so the result is going to be in the middle between both teams, right? So this is the home team, and that one the away team. All right, now outside of the live container, we're going to have a button where we are going to use it to test the API response. So whenever I click it, I want to test the API. Okay, so we're going to create this function, and inside it, we're just going to copy the example starter code from the API provider homepage on Rapid API. So we're just gonna take the JavaScript fetch code and we're gonna test it. So the first thing you need to do is to subscribe to this API. Once you find it, here we're gonna find subscribe to test. You can choose the free tier. It gives you 500 requests per month, so you can get started with it. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy and paste this into here, and let's just test it. So okay, so let's import it. Here we'll say LiveScore, save it. There we go. And if I click, all right, we've got an object that has a couple things, the data and something called meta. So this data array has like 100 elements, and each one has a sports team data like name, country, logo, manager, etc. But this is the first endpoint. We're not gonna need that. We are going to deal with the teams events endpoint, which is in the team section, and it's going to be the last one in this section. Okay, so we're going to get into this one, but before we do that, I'm just gonna hide my API key. So I'll just go ahead and create a .env file. So I'll say env. Alright, I've created it. There we go. This is what you'd have to do. You can see you're gonna need to create this React app underscore rapid API. This is the environment variable, and then you'll go back to the API homepage, and you can just grab your rapid API key. Okay, then you're gonna need to paste it here. All right, so just save this, and I'm just gonna copy that, and here instead I'm gonna get rid of that, and I'll say process.env.rapid API key. All right, now I'm gonna need to save it, restart the project, because this is how Create React App could recognize this new environment variable. I'll just go back here, close that. If I test it, that works fine. Cool. Make sure you append your environment variable with React underscore app underscore, and I think it should be in uppercase. All right, so back to the endpoint. Here we are, like I said, we clicked on the events by team ID. So we're gonna take this part and we're gonna swap it up with this one. Okay, so if I save and I click test, this time we'll get another different object. So this one has a bunch of items. You can see 50 items, and each element has a load of information about a fixture. You can see the fixture name is Southampton versus Liverpool, and it's going to be started at May 2023. So in this example, we just wanted to get the events list of the team that has an ID equals to 1. You can see it here in the endpoint. So each team has an ID that can be used to look for specific information about that team. You can search for your team ID with your team name. There's another endpoint for that you can use, which is this one, the search teams endpoint. It's a post request. So here, for example, we're trying to get Real Madrid's ID. So if I click test, okay, it returns 5 items. And generally speaking, the first item is the one you're looking for. Okay, you can see the team ID here is 139. If I wanted to look for something maybe different, let's say Juventus, and if I click test, all right, looks like we made a mistake. This could be a typo, or maybe the optional parameters are wrong. Okay, Juventus is from Italy. Okay, we're gonna ignore this and this as well. If I test it, all right, just got a 28 items. Okay, the first item is, like I said, is the one we're looking for. The rest could be things like under 23 and that kind of things, maybe women team, and maybe some other smaller teams that has this occurrence in their name. Okay, anyway, we got the first instance, so we're gonna take that ID and we'll see how to use it to extract the desired information for that team. So I'll say I'm just gonna take this and I'll just replace it with this one. Save it, come back here. So this was Southampton versus Liverpool, and this time it's gonna be different. And there we go, Udinese versus Juventus. So we're gonna use some of this data to fill in the gaps in our markup. So the first thing I want to do is to create a couple of hooks. So here, say const match data, set match data. Okay, I'm gonna say use state, and this is gonna be an empty object, and we're gonna need another one for the teams as well. Set team, I'm gonna say use state. All right, now back to the test function. We're gonna start the extraction of the data from the API response. So we'll need the team name, maybe logo, maybe league, country, that kind of things. And we also want the match data, things like results, season, league, etc. So inside the search handler we just created, we're gonna grab the first element from the array. So I'm just gonna start by making small changes to this code. Okay, and then this one. Okay, and I'm just gonna move this here, and this one is gonna be res, so we can distinguish from both responses. All right, here we want to get response.data. Say that. Okay, back here. If I click, there we go. This is the data. If I wanted to get the first item, you just have to say first. Okay. Test it, and there we go. So we've got an ID here. This is the event ID or match ID, and there's away score, away team, which is an object, and a lot of different information about this fixture. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the team data. So back here, I'll say const fixture is equal to the first item. And then we're gonna say const dated match data. This is gonna be an object, so we're gonna pass in the match ID, the name, the logo, and that kind of thing. So we're gonna say ID is gonna be the fixture dot home team ID. If you look at here we go, you can see the home team ID, and we also have the away team ID, but we're just gonna deal with the home team just to get started. And then we're gonna need the name, and this one comes in again from the fixture dot home team, but this time we want to get inside this home team object, and we're gonna grab the name from here. All right, say dot name. We also want the logo, and we're gonna grab the current score. Okay, I'll say current, but the current score comes from the home score property. Well, this is null this time. If the match has started or has been finished, we're gonna find an object here that's gonna contain a bunch of properties so we can choose from. So I'm just gonna leave it like that now, and this one is gonna be current score instead. All right, now let's try logging this. I'll say updated team match data. So if I test it, there we go. We've got this object. You see the current score is undefined. That's completely normal. And we've got the ID, logo of the first team, and its name. Right here I actually meant the updated team instead. Sorry about this mistake. Anyway, doesn't matter. Alright, this should have been because if you look here, for instance, let's try looking at the 36th maybe, or maybe the 37. Let's look at this one. You see here the away score and the home score is a whole object. So we're gonna get into the home score, and we're gonna grab the first property, which is the current score. Okay, so instead of that, I'm gonna say home score instead. So if I test this again, okay, we got a type error, cannot read properties, null, reading current. So this time the current score is null. There is nothing inside it. Alright, so when you want to get some data from an object, especially from an API response, it can or cannot be found there. So in our case, we wanted to take the current home score, which doesn't exist. So we'll need to make a quick check to see if the key has a value or not. So I'm going to use something called optional chaining to fix this. So right here, if the home score object exists, then give me the current score. Okay, so let's try again. There we go. And you can see the current score is undefined. So let's do that with the home team as well. So I'm gonna grab the name and the logo in the same way. Now I'm gonna do something similar with the match data this time. So what I'm gonna do is a const match data is equal. So we're gonna have a status, which is gonna be the fixture dot status, and we're gonna need a league. So I'll say fixture dot league dot name, and we're gonna need the logo, and we're gonna need the result as well. So this is gonna be this one, and we're gonna paste this here, and we're gonna make a simple concatenation just like that, and I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm gonna grab the away score as well. So let's just do the same thing just like we did with the others. Alright, now let's just, I'm gonna call this updated match data actually. So let's just paste it here. Alright, this should have been updated. Cool. Now to make this cleaner, we're gonna see if the result exists, then we're gonna show it. Otherwise, we're gonna say null. Let's save it. File fresh here. Test. Okay. Awesome. This is the match data. Alright. And you can see the result this time is undefined. Alright, good so far. So let's try to put everything in its place. So I'm gonna update the couple of hooks we just created with this given data. So here, I'm just gonna say set team to updated team, and the same with match data. Okay. And here, I'm just gonna duplicate this, and I'll go right here. And what I'm gonna say, match data. All right. Let's see what we got so far. Okay, test. Okay, first it's empty. That's use state. Okay. Click again. And there we go. This is the match data. Cool. So now I can see the match data hook value, the new one. But according to React docs, when updating a state object, you better use something different, because the way we did it is going to replace the whole object with a whole new one. And that's not always what you want. You may want to change some specific properties of your object and not all of them. So you can't achieve it like that. So they recommend to use the spread operator to update your state. So instead, here for instance, what I'm going to say, so we're going to take the match data hook, and here we're going to update it with the new one, which is the updated match data. So let's just test this. Alright, and there we go. This is the match data here. Cool. Now what this does, it's going to take the previous state of match data, and it's going to look at the new updated match data, and it's going to compare both states. If something has changed here, then it's going to have to be updated in this one. Hopefully this makes sense. Now let me show you why you should use the syntax over the other. So I'm going to try to make a practical example. So the first thing I want to do is to create a use effect, and And here we're just going to log the match data, and I'll just re-render on each change. Okay. Now suppose you just wanted to update the status and keep the rest of properties the same. Now the way we do that could be simply with the rest operator. So we're just going to keep this just like that, and underneath it we're going to go to the status, and we're going to make this, for instance, finished. Okay, so if I save it, now if I click test, here's the match data, and this is the use effect log. You can see the match now has been, the status is finished, but the logo, the result, and all the other stuff are the same, just like here. Let's say, for instance, we want to change the result, for instance. Okay, and we're going to keep the rest the same. So let's say 1-0, for instance, and if I click here, there we go. And this time you can see the status has been updated again with the new value, which is not started, and the result is now 1-0. So the remaining items didn't change. So this can save some time when you maybe send a request to the server. And then imagine how many requests could go to the database. Imagine you're changing a whole row item with the same item itself, or maybe a whole new document if you're using MongoDB, for instance. You could remove the item's name and rename it again with the same name. You also may need to get into a separate table or maybe a collection to change a specific element again. This can lead to some heavy operations that could slow your app's performance. So this was just a reminder to think about both sides, front end and back end. Okay, so let's just roll back to the previous instruction. We're gonna keep it like that. And now I'll do the same thing with the team this time. Okay, so let's say team and say okay, there we go. Now let's try to render this data in the browser. So I'll start with the league name. So come here and I'm gonna say if the match data exists, then show me this whole thing. Okay, and then here inside this league, I want to see the actual league name. So I'll say match data dot league, just like we called it right here. Okay, so let's just try to see that, and there we go. We can see it's Serie A. Cool. Now let's take care of the rest. I'm going to start with the images. Alright, so we're going to start with the first one here. I'm going to say match data logo. So we're just going to start with the home team just to make things simple. Then we're going to move on to see all of them. So here we're going to say .logo, and here say team.name. Save it. There we go. This is the league and this is the first team. Awesome. Now, like I said, this was just for one single team. So if I wanted to display both teams' data, I'm gonna need another hook for the away team, and I'm gonna replace the old one with another one this time. So this one is gonna be different. So this is gonna be home team, and then here I'll say home team as well, and this is gonna be away team. All right, now here, as you can see, we just wanted to get the home team data. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna duplicate this, and this time this is gonna be updated home team, and this will be updated away team. All right, that's right, that's okay. But this one is gonna be a little different, so we're gonna say away, and then here away team as well. All right, and I'm gonna do a couple of that as well. This is for the home team. And this is for the away team. Cool. Let's just say home. And now let's take care of the result of this request, and we'll update the teams container again. So this one, like I said, is the home team. Alright, and I'll do the same here as well. Away team dot logo. You'll say away team dot name. Save it. Test. It's alright, cool. Now let's try adding some CSS. So I'm just gonna paste these styles from my notes, and let's bring it here. CSS. There we go, that looks better. There seems to be some extra margin or padding here. Let me just check. App CSS, alright, that's empty. So I'll add a bit of general styles. So I'll say margin 0, padding 0. I'll say box sizing, border box. Save it. Great. This will remove the sort of default padding and margin for each HTML element. Now we have been playing manually with this fixture, which is the first element of the array. So now I want to be able to find the closest next match. So we're gonna need a handler to return that specific element. So basically this function is just gonna take the fixtures array, then it's gonna loop through it, and it's gonna find the closest match by date compared to the current date, and finally it's just gonna return that closest next match. So right here I'm gonna say const closest next match. Let's just be more convenient, say fixture, and we're gonna pass in the fixtures array. Okay, and then the first thing I'm gonna do is taking the current date. So I'll say now is equal to new date, and to get started we're just gonna try to use the closest date. We're just gonna return that before returning the closest fixture. So I'll say let closest date, and we'll assign this to infinity. Okay, so currently the closest date is infinity. Then I'm gonna take the fixtures, and we're gonna say for each, and then we're gonna say for each fixture, we're gonna take the fixture date. So I'll have to say const fixture date, and this is gonna be equal to new date, and we'll pass in the fixture dot start at. If we take a look at a fixture object, let's just look at this one. You can see here this property, which is start at. This is the actual match date, but it's in string format. Whereas the current date, which we just declared at the top, this one is actually date variable, and that's why we converted this value to date, so we can use it later and compare it with the current closest date. Now I'm going to check if the currently selected fixture date is greater than the current time, which is the current date. So I'm going to say if fixture date is greater than now, and it should also be less than the closest date. Okay, and the current closest date is this one. All right, if that's the case, closest date is now going to be the fixture date. All right, forgot this equal. All right, if that's the case, I'm just gonna console.log the closest date. Okay, just move this down here, and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna say this, and then we need to invoke this function right here, and we're just gonna pass in this one. Okay, whole data instead. Okay, so let's just refresh, test, and I think we've got a pretty close date, which is Wednesday, August 31, which is the right one. Yeah. So now I want to see the corresponding fixture of that date. But first I'm just going to do some changes here. Okay, this is going to be fixtures. Alright, that's what I want. So back to this function here. In addition to that, I'm going to do something similar. So I'm going to let closest fixture, and then I'm going to do here closest fixture is going to be the actual fixture. And then here we're going to do something pretty similar. Okay, let's just test this again. And exactly, I think that's the right one. It's gonna be on August 31. Right, that's it. Okay, now we need to use that specific fixture instead of the statically used one, instead of this one. So I'm just gonna first return this fixture. So I'll say return closest fixture. Okay, I'm gonna put it in an array, and then we're gonna use object destructuring, so we can be able to use it later. Okay, fixture this time is gonna be and this is gonna be the new fixture. This fixture this time. Put this in an array. If I save it, if I click test, there we go. So that works fine. Now we're gonna do almost the opposite of the previous handler. We'll see how to find the closest previous match this time, the last match. But before we do that, I encourage you to do it yourself. At least give it a try before you see the solution. So before we get into the this implementation, I'm gonna tweak the other functions names. So the test API this time is gonna be find closest next match. Now, since we're going to handle both previous and next matches, we will have to add a new fixture div, update the hooks once again, and finally use these new states values in both divs. And just before we do that, I'm gonna update the hooks with some convenient names as well. So now I'm gonna select all of the occurrences of match data, and I'm gonna update them with the new one. So here we're gonna say next match data, and then this one as well is going to be set next match data. Okay, if you look at the other ones, here we go, they're updated. Cool. And we'll do the same thing with home team as well. Next home team, and this is also going to be set next. Set next away team. Cool. Alright, let's add 3 more hooks for the last match. Okay, all of these are going to be last. Later on, we'll also create another div for the next match. So now we'll just copy the closest next fixture handler, this one. And I'm going to just duplicate this one, and this will be closest previous fixture this time. And we're going to add some minor changes. This time, this one is going to be minus this time, and here this will be less, and this will be greater than or equal. And then what I'm going to do, this one is going to be next match actually, and I'm going to duplicate this, and this will be closest previous match, and this will be previous matches as well. Now let's just create this function just like we did with the other one. Alright, let's just change this name. And the next thing is going to be updating these setters with last match data instead. And here again, this is going to be last as well. And we shouldn't forget the closest previous fixture. Okay. Now let's try making another div just like we did here. So we're gonna have another match container that's gonna look pretty much the same as this one. So here, instead of next match, I'm gonna say last match data, and here as well, last home data team, and here again, last away team. If I save it, next, that's what we get in the previous, and there you go. Cool. Alright, now if you take a look at the file, we have like 250 lines. So I think it's time to split it into smaller chunks. Let's start with the fixtures. So we're gonna make a fixture component. I'll say fixture JS, and I'll have another one for CSS. So as always, I'm gonna have a functional component. And then here, I'm just gonna copy and paste one of these components. So we are going to take this one and let's just create a live container. Alright, just change this to React. And then inside it, I'm gonna paste all of this stuff. So this is gonna be simply match data this time. And that one is gonna be home team. And this will be away team. Okay, and then here we're gonna need to bring in these as props. So I'll say match data, sorry about that, home team and away team. Alright, cool. Now if I get back here and I remove that, I'll say fixture. We need to pass in the props, so the match data this time is going to be the last match, okay? And then here we're going to need to pass in the props, so match data is going to be the last match data, and we're going to need the home team and away team as well. That's going to be the last home team, and the away team is going to be last away team. So let's just save this. If I refresh, next, previous, there we go, I can see. Cool. Now let's just get rid of the other one. So this one is going to be simply, this is all of these things are going to be replaced with last. Okay, next actually. Save it. Cool. Alright, the file is getting shorter. Let's make it even more shorter. So I'm gonna take the match handlers and I'll just put them in a separate file as well. So back inside here, we're gonna say match finders.js. Alright, so we're gonna start with the last match handlers. So we're gonna bring in this one. I'm gonna paste it here. And I'm going to also take the other one as well. Okay. Awesome. So now we're going to need to pass these setters as arguments. So grab them from here and here at the top. I'm going to pass them as a set of arguments in an object. Okay, but we still have another block here. You can see that. Okay, we'll just get rid of that. Doesn't matter. And then we need to export the find closest previous match function. So say export default find closest previous match, just like we do with components. Now let's just import it. So here, say import closest previous match. Let's just give this a whirl and coming back here, I'm gonna look at the previous match. Okay, I've got an error, so set last home is not a function. So this function has a bunch of parameters actually, but when we called it here in this button, we didn't pass any argument. So from this file, we need to pass in all of the required elements. So we need all of those hook setters, the set last match data, last home team, and all of these things. So inside this button, we're going to make an anonymous function that takes in those three arguments. So here we're going to say, okay, and here we're just going to pass in all of those arguments. So I'll say, just like we did here, I'm just going to pass them right here. Okay, and hopefully this makes sense this time. So say previous match. There we go, that works. Now instead of that, I want to create a simple caller and bring it back here instead of this multi-liner function. So I'm just going to copy this, and instead I'll just come right up here and I'll say const show last match is equal to this, and I'm going to paste this here. So instead of that, we are going to paste show last match, and that's going to fix it. So let's previous match. There we go. Now that was the previous match handlers. Now you better do the other one yourself. So I'm going to work out the next match handlers a little faster. So we'll first need to bring in all of this stuff. So I'm just going to get rid of it. And here we are just going to paste it in there. So let's just get rid of that. And these setters will be fixed the same way we did with the other one. So here, okay, and that should be it. But this time we need to export this one as well. So instead of default, I'm gonna get rid of that, and this is gonna be an object this time. So I'm gonna say find next match handlers as well. Now you can see a bunch of errors this time. Imported as find closest previous match wasn't found in match finders. So the way we have imported that this time is wrong. So we're gonna need to put it in curly braces, and we'll bring in the other one as well, and that should fix it this time. If I click again previous match, it works fine. Cool. Now let's fix this thing again. So here we are. So I'll do exactly the same thing like that. Well, this is going to be next match, and here we're going to paste the setters, and this will be next as well. And this time, instead of that, I'm just gonna say show next match, and hopefully this makes sense. Exactly, that works fine. Cool. Now I noticed something that hasn't been added yet, which is the result. So I have this result p tag in the fixture. Where is it? There we go, that one. So inside it, I'm just gonna insert the actual result property. Now if we take a look at both matches results, we're gonna find a little bit of difference. So this result is 1-1, whereas the other one is undefined. It's not even started. So based on these results, we're gonna try to show the most appropriate value to the user. Alright, so we're gonna check that with the status property. We're gonna first look at the status. If the status is not started, then we're gonna show the team versus the other team, and if it's finished, we're gonna show the actual result. Okay, so back inside the result, here we're gonna do the following thing. So if match data dot status is not started, then we're gonna say vs, else we are going to show the match data dot result. Let's see if this works. Great. Alright, that vs has some extra space that needs to be removed, so I'm gonna tweak this p tag class name. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here, if match data dot status is not equal to not started, then we're gonna add the result as a class name. Else we'll just say null. Okay, if I save it, awesome, and we don't get that bold font. Alright, now as you can see, the current widget size is reserved for only one single fixture. So we're going to show one fixture and hide the other. We'll use these buttons to toggle between both fixtures. It's going to be some sort of slider or something. So we're going to create a simple condition. When it's true, we'll show the first one. Otherwise, we're going to show the other one. So I'm going to first create a hook here in the live score actually. And here I'm going to say const shown fixture set shown fixture. Okay, I'm gonna say use state, and this is gonna be set to next by default. Well, I said false or true. We're gonna use something different. We're gonna use this string instead. And then in the fixtures div here, I'm gonna check if the shown fixture is equal to next, and if that's true, we're gonna show the next fixture. Else we're gonna show the other one. Okay, so let's just save this. If I click next, it's gonna show me the next fixture. If I click previous, alright, I can't see it. And that makes sense because we didn't handle the previous match click. Okay, so now we're going to see how to switch the shown fixture value using both buttons. So when I click next match, it's gonna show the next match data and hide the other one, and the opposite will happen when I click the last match. Right, so right here when I click last match, it's gonna reset the shown fixture to last. Okay, and it's gonna do next here. So let's give this a whirl, refresh. If I click next, I can see that. If I click previous, there we go, that makes sense. Now whenever this component renders at first, I want to see the last match data without clicking on that button. I mean, the default page render is going to show me the last match data. Okay, so The way we do that is simply using a use effect. So right here, I'm going to add another one, say use effect, and inside it, I'm just going to show last match data. Okay, and this will happen once. Save this. Okay, if I refresh again, this is what we get. Cool. Okay, right now I want to change these buttons with some nicer icons. So we need to install React icons package, and we're going to use a couple of icons from there. So I'll say npm I React icons. Okay, and those couple icons are going to be these ones. So we're going to make md navigate before. Okay, I'll just bring it here. Okay, I'll delete this. And this one is going to be next. And I'll do that again. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in all of this from React icons /md. Okay, and I'm gonna bring in this one as well. Cool. Now let's start saving this. There we go. Okay, let's just clear this. All right, and now I'm gonna wrap these couple of icons inside a div. So I'll say round controls, and I'm gonna put them in here. All right, that makes sense. All right, I'm just gonna give them a class name so they'll be a little bit clearer and bigger. So here we'll say class name, and I'm gonna say round. Let's save it. All right, that's better. Cool. So if I click this one, it's gonna show me this, and this is gonna show the next match. Cool. All right, now currently when the component renders, it's gonna show me the last match. So that's the first API call. When I click that last match icon, it's gonna make another API call for that same match. It's gonna send me the same result. So that's going to be a waste of time and money. You know, each request is going to be counted, which means it's going to cost some money. So to solve this, we'll need to disable or hide the button for each shown match. If the last match is shown, we should hide the last match icon. And the same goes with the next match. Okay? So I've added a couple of CSS classes to fix this. So right here, I'm going to wrap this in curly braces. And I'm going to leave the round class as the default, and I'm going to concatenate it with this. So the first thing I want to do is to check the shown fixture, and if it is the last fixture, then we're going to add a class called hide match, else I'm going to say nothing. Okay, so we're going to do something similar with the other one. So instead of that, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say next. Okay, hopefully this makes sense. There we go. When we click that, all right, I made a mistake in the buttons. I just made the opposite. So I'm gonna put this here, and this one is gonna be moved right here. I refresh, click that. This is the next match, and this is the last match. Awesome. All right, thanks for tuning in. This video was a bit long, so that's like a getting started guide on how to use a LiveScore API. You can even add this as a widget to your website, your app, or maybe a Chrome extension, just like we did some time ago with this one. You can still be able to alter it and add your own features. Maybe take a longer list of fixtures and map through it. Show some extra data for each match, like match location, round, the date, maybe a stats component, because they also have another endpoint for that, statistics. There would be also some performance work that can lead to a better and faster response or maybe user experience. Think about memoizing a finished fixture with React Memo or maybe use Memo, so you don't have to resend a request whenever you want. You want to see that match result again. You may also want to handle a live match, so you probably want to run a specific function that's gonna request the latest and current match highlights and result. In fact, they do have an endpoint for this purpose. You could create a handler that runs every minute to get the latest changes, and maybe every 2 or 3 minutes if you want. And you can take that way further based on your needs. I hope you enjoyed it. See you later.